Good afternoon, Valerie Milano here from the Palm Springs, and the senior editor of the Hollywood Times and Aspiring Magazine. And I'm so happy to have our guest here today. I'm going to have him introduce himself. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me. My name is Jon Allen. I'm an actor, voice actor, comedian, and sometimes even independent wrestler. So,
For real, huh?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I
Well,
try to keep busy.
yeah. Yeah. Okay, so, I was looking up the upcoming feature film for Rent. Is it set to make its premiere at the San Diego 24-hour film festival, right?
It is. It'll be part of Screening Group A on September 9th at the AMC Mission Valley in San Diego. And they actually have renamed it to Extra Toppings. So,
What
that's
they've renamed what?
the film.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. I For Rent was like a tentative thing, and they decided after editing it and what gets featured that Extra Toppings would be a more fitting title. So these
And
that happens sometimes.
what was the original title?
For Rent.
Yeah, so now it's called Extra Toppings.
Yeah, yeah. And I
Okay.
would tell you why, but that would very much give away the fun of it. So
All right. Well, can you at least tell us what the film is about and your role in it?
sure. It's about a group of coworkers who work in a business, sort of like where you would rent superheroes to come visit your kids, except this is more for all ages. And they're all trying to top each other by telling about some of the worst work-related stories, some of the worst clients they've dealt with. And that's all I can give out, I think, without giving too much away. But I play Grant, who's kind of the smart arse of the group, and he eggs one of the characters into telling about her awful experience and gets the ball rolling from there.
Sweet. All right. So how different is your creative process when you're working on camera versus behind the mic?
I try to brush the hair a little bit more. No, I just there's so many more variables you have to take into consideration. So it's a little bit it can be a little bit more stressful because of that. But still very fun. I enjoy both mediums very much.
And what was the most memorable moment for you during the making of For Rent, which is not For Rent anymore?
No. There is a scene that Amy is in, which I think is going to be the one that most people end up talking about after they see it. It makes very good use of the some of the prop that we were told we had to use for this particular film project. And I would say other than that, just getting the chance to meet some new talent and work with them and improv. Um, a fun thing for me was at the top of one of the main scenes where I'm featured is I'd like to try and improv something and see if I could make everybody break and succeeded a couple of times. I don't know if they'll end up using those takes or not, but it'll be fun if they do.
Okay, so you're known as a voice actor, comedian, and on-camera actor. Can you share how you first found your way into voice acting and what drew you to that side of the performance?
I always appreciated just how limitless voiceover could be, where rather than basing it upon what you look like primarily, it was more about what you could do and how you could sound and what other, just how many more opportunities there were for you as a voice actor than as an on-camera actor. I first started looking into it, I would say around 2000, 2001 when and had the chance to visit what was at the time Funimation Productions in Fort Worth, Texas, who were dubbing Dragon Ball Z at the time. And I was fortunate enough to kind of get my start while there by doing a one-liner during the Majin Buu arc of the show.
Okay. Um, can you give advice for any aspiring voiceover artists like my daughter?
Oof, hedge your bets. We just came out of a year-long strike, which is after another strike. When I say that, what I mean is obviously follow your dreams and follow your passion, but also have a means of supporting yourself another way. I'm not saying you have to wait till you get like a master's before you pursue this stuff, but knowing another trade helps. And as far to connect it more to acting itself, I would say just study anything and everything, improv, on camera, voiceover, cultivate your skills. It's just going to go and make you a more versatile performer and a more valuable commodity to people in a position to hire you.
Thank you for that. Yeah. So I want to talk a little bit about Rick and Morty.
Mm,
Congratulations, by the way, on being the current voice of Mr. Poopy Butthole.
thank you.
How did you land this iconic role, and what was that audition process like?
Well, I'd actually had the chance to read for Rick and for Morty as well, when there was a little bit of a shakeup in the cast. Um, I think, but it was really once I had the chance to read for Mr. Poopy Butthole that they really started to say, "Oh, okay, I think here's something we can bring him on for." There were several callbacks, and then it kind of came down to me coming in and actually recording what was supposed to be just the first act of the season 7 premiere. But I mean, we were cooking that day and we got through the whole script. So they called me back for what they said was one last callback. And once I arrived at the studio and got on mic, they informed me, look, you got the job. We just want to fine tune a couple of lines based upon Dan Harmon's direction and notes. So yeah.
Yes, I was going to talk about Dan Harmon a little bit. Not that this show is about my kids, but my son was a big fan of the creator Dan Harmon. How is that like working with him?
It's great. I haven't had the chance. Usually, my direction doesn't come directly from him. Usually from the showrunner Scott Marter and producer Suzanne Belk. And then from there, the recordings go back to Dan, and if he has any notes, they'll call me back in to fine tune some things. Or if they end up rewriting the episode, they'll have me come back and redo a thing or two. But I've had the chance to meet Dan. Like we had a sort of a cast party for the season 7 premiere the night that it aired on Adult Swim. We all saw it at a theater in Glendale, and he thanked me personally for, they kind of found me at the last minute, and the timing worked out because it was like, the premiere episode was all about Mr. PB. So yeah, I don't know what would have happened if they couldn't have found somebody to pull that off, I guess.
Well, that character is such a fan favorite. What do
Yeah.
you think makes Mr. Poopy Butthole resonate so strongly with audiences?
I'm not a lot of things. I think obviously the name right out of the gate is so ridiculous. I think people like hearing the ooh wee. I think that's fun. And I think the fact that he's got such a I don't know what the word would be, like underdog story where his life just keeps getting worse and worse and worse just about every time you see him. I think that's a part of it. And the fact that he's, normally a pretty endearing character that just kind of wants to help out the Smith family.
Yeah, okay. So season 8 is now out on Adult Swim and coming to HBO Max and Hulu soon.
Yep.
Can you tease what fans can look forward to the rest of this season?
Well, I mean, if they watched it on Adult Swim, then they would know that there's just some of the craziest stuff they've ever done in the show. There is a continuation of where we last saw Mr. Poopy Butthole in season 7. Um, Jerry really gets a chance to shine this season in some ways I don't think he has before. There's an episode that focuses around Beth and Space Beth that I think is fantastic. And yeah, I don't want to give away too much if you haven't seen it, but it's a really fun ride.
Cool. So what's the biggest challenge of stepping into a role that fans already know and love and making it your own?
Well, I try not to make it my own too much. I've really tried to help keep it as consistent as possible with what was done before. And that can be tricky because in previous episodes, sometimes the voice would veer a little bit more towards Morty, a little bit more towards Mr. Meeseeks. So it's been um, very important for us to try and find as much of the middle ground as we possibly can going forward to satisfy as many people as possible. It's they're pretty big shoes to slip into, but I am doing my best as someone who's also been a fan of the show before being involved with it professionally.
As we've talked about, you've worked across comedy, animation, and live action. How do you keep your performances fresh and versatile?
I just try, in the case of acting, to work with the given circumstances as much as possible, to focus on that and shut out the extraneous noise and live in the moment as best as possible. But you'd asked, as it pertains to acting and what was it, the comedy as well?
Animation,
In
live
animation?
action, yeah.
Yeah, I just try to uh, um enjoy it as much as possible and focus on the work as much as possible. And I know what it's like to be on the other end of it, watching the shows, and I just try to give absolutely everything I can in every performance that I do.
Thank you. John, do you have a favorite line you've recorded as Mr. PB or one that fans will quote back to you the most?
The one that I usually tell people when they ask me about that is in the season 7 premiere. I had the chance to play opposite Hugh Jackman, who plays himself in the show. There is a bit during the episode where they're at his house where he calls the Jack Shack, and Mr. Poopy Butthole is kind of longingly looking at some of the wedding photos on Hugh's bookshelf there, and he's getting kind of misty eyed because he's recently divorced. And Hugh asks him slash me, like, "Hey mate, why the long face? Shape of my skull." And I just thought that was a good bit of
Good.
wordplay because prior to that, there really hadn't been. It's sort of he's got this elongated head, so
Yes.
wanted them to make fun of that.
Uh, Outside of your current projects, is there a dream role or franchise that you'd love to lend your voice or talent to?
I've been really blessed to work on a lot of the franchises that I would have liked to. I think kind of how like it meant so much to play Krang from Ninja Turtles for the video game Smite because I grew up watching that show. One that I haven't had the chance to work on yet that I would absolutely love to would be to be part of the Transformers world in some way. I think that would be uh, just like another dream come true. So, yeah.
Yeah, all right. Well, so tell our readers and our viewers, how can they find out more about you and about the projects that you're working on?
Sure. I have a Facebook like page, which is facebook.com/Jon Allen VO, like voiceover. The Instagram is the Jon Allen. Twitter, well, it's X now, I guess, is King Jon Allen. And I apologize that they're all different. As I've mentioned in another interview today, I was dragging my feet on getting on all of them. So some of the ones had been taken. Blue Sky is the Jon Allen as well. And there's always jonallenvoice.com.
All right. Pleasure getting to meet you virtually. Hopefully, we can
Thank
meet in
you.
the future. We're the HollywoodTimes.today and aspiringmagazine.com, and our YouTube channel is the Hollywood Times Official. And again, keep up the great work.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank
Ooh
you, John.
wee!
Love it.